Hi everyone, and now here we are with this amazing being, Masati. I have had the opportunity to share not the stage directly, but being present at the same conferences, and this is one of it. As you know, we are at the Bridge Expo, and created amazingly by Team Light, and now here we are. Masati, so that people get to know more about you. I'm pretty sure that they know you very well already.
Yes.
But for the ones that don't do yet, as we know, part of the Way of Being Foundation is very much committed to bringing a new earth. So based on your experience, the people that you interact with, that you guide, what is the big difference between the before and the after when they get to know you and receive from your techniques?
Yeah. The biggest difference is that they actually start to reclaim or they start to remember who they actually were. You have an original code that you came into life with. So that code is either awakened or it dies. Most kids, unfortunately, that code within them dies by about, say, 7, 8 years old, and then it solidifies. So what that means is, you come in with a lot of opportunities, potential, and you see it in a child's face, right? It's like, gosh, they've got so much potential, they've got unbelievable possibilities, but through parenting, through society, through TV, or whatever it might be, it's like, you can't do that, you can't do that, you have to fit into this paradigm. And this is where the parents' religions, whatever religion it is, it doesn't really matter. Social values, economic values, all those things get encoded into that kid, and it's like, gosh, that's not the new paradigm that I want to bring in. That's an old paradigm, and most people, most societies, most leaders today, or those people who want to help, they really are running from, say, an old version of code. And I talk about code because that's what I do.
Yeah.
I literally help you go, oh, this is the programming that you're running. Let's change that code, and then you change. So I bring back the original version of who that kid would have been if, say, we had evolved parents, evolved societies. And then from there, imagine what that would be if the potential of that child was, say, flourishing, nurturing, right, from the parents. By the time they would hit like 12, 13 years old, that child would be amazing. They wouldn't be diseased. A lot of issues that the kids have nowadays because their original blueprint was supposed to take them here, but now they're way off and they're going, gosh, this isn't me. I want to come back. So again, I just bring them back to their original self. The original self that before anybody told them what to do or what to be. So when you bring them back at any age, it's amazing how they flourish and they blossom and their light really shines through them. And they actually age younger. They get rid of the familial diseases. And it's so powerful that for people who have kids, their kids start to shift as
Yes.
well, even without doing the work. So that's how we really change them.
This is beautiful that you say it because I get what you refer to. I call it the source code.
I see that. Yes.
And I think that it's such an important labor that you're doing, restoring that source code.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's an honor. The source code, again, the original blueprint of who we are.
Yes.
In order for a society to evolve to the next level, we need to go access that source code, and that source code is not like woo woo or it's not
Exactly.
spiritual, although we put it in that way. It's basically the physics that, say, has refined itself over 14 billion years. I think the universe is actually older than that. It could be like trillions of years old, right? The idea, or say, time and space redefining itself, reconnecting, understanding how things evolve. Like in nature, things evolve automatically. We should actually be at the level or consciousness that nature creates it and renders itself. Humans have free will. So free will, I would say, is kind of a bitch, basically. If we don't understand how to use it, because we'll
Yes.
go into our old patterns. But there's a benefit to free will if we understand it. But again, if we actually created or was at the consciousness that nature renders itself, or the intelligence that, say, operates nature, that's the source code. That's the physics behind the source code.
That connects us all.
Exactly, and that's billions and billions of years of engineering.
Yes.
Humans create their own version of that engineering, so we're
Yes.
only that knowledge base, even the technologies that we have. Say it's like 1 million, or say 2 million years old, compared to 14 billion years. That's not much experience, So we literally are, say, making all the mistakes that probably nature made way back in the day. It's better for us just to go, okay, our ways don't work. Let's understand how nature does it, or natural intelligence does it.
Yes.
And then we can, say, jettison off from that rather than trying to recreate the wheel. We can use that momentum to go even higher. And that's the purpose. And I think that's the purpose for, any organization that wants to elevate consciousness.
Now that you're saying this, it brings me up to the capability to choose what we mirror into.
Exactly.
If we mirror into nature, then we're capable to operate ourselves at a more organic pace.
Exactly. Exactly. That timeline is always available for us because, again, nature is running that timeline. So if we were at that level of consciousness, we'd be, our political system, our governance system, we wouldn't have the diseases, we wouldn't have the child abuse, we wouldn't have all those things that we're trying to resolve and fix here. And that's the problem with a lot of, say, the world issues, is like they solve one problem, like let's solve hunger, which is a big issue, but why is there hunger in the first place?
Exactly.
We're just trying to solve the surface level issue. We need to go back to the core and go, wait a second, if we were evolved beings, we would naturally not create situations where people would be hungry. We would not naturally create situations where women would be abused and men would be, distorted and, all these things, and we're ruining the planet. Again, we're not that evolved, and we'd have to understand that, especially our leaders.
Yeah, it's like it brings me in marketing, like creating your own need and then
Yeah.
selling what will be,
Exactly.
trying to supply or satisfy that need.
Absolutely. So again, if we just go back to our original, say, state, and it doesn't mean simpler times, it actually means advanced times, and it
Yes.
actually means
Yes.
advancing technology. AI would be very, very different. It would actually nurture. And I just want you to think about this. Anything that has been, say, of a benevolent nature or a benevolent intent to help humanity, over time, it's turned into the most destructive force there is.
And
So,
why would you say that happens?
why? Because of the intent underneath it, and you can ask me anything about that. Look at in today. In the back in the day, the medical system was supposed to help us out. Now it basically destroys us. And it's gotten to the point, where even food is killing us off, although it's supposed to be nurturing. Again, anything benevolent, even love, for example, today, right? Love today, it destroys more people than anything out there. Wealth destroys more people. Success is the biggest failure in many people's lives. Again, anything that is benevolent, anything that is supposed to, say, enhance society, has always, say, churned into a lower level.
Going into the other polarization.
Yes, and the reason for that, like you asked, is because we redefined love, we redefine wealth according to human standards, but let's redefine it back to the original source. People will stay away from wealth, people will stay away from fear, people will stay away from their negative emotions, and that creates, say, a separation of self, separation of identity. What we're supposed to do is understand why those, say, negativities in the world, instead of like displacing them or eliminating them, you can't eliminate, because they exist here for a purpose. If we understand their true purpose or access the first principle reason on why those things occur, we would understand it at a deeper level and go to that definition, and those definitions would rule our society rather than the distorted definitions here. I want to ask you something. So everybody goes, well, I just want love in the world. But I wouldn't want that for the world because most people don't understand what love is. If you think about how you define love, most people, again, their love dictates that they sacrifice themselves, they burden themselves, they lose their identity for loving somebody else. Why would you want to bring more of that into the world? So again, I always ask people, before you wish anything upon somebody or the world, redefine it in your own self and then go, yeah, I wish there was more love in the world, the pure version. Or if you're going to say that, at least ask yourselves, like, I want the purest version of love for the world and myself. And that'll help perpetuate,
Yes.
a higher level.
So then, what would you say could be a critical ingredient for this new Earth to be sustainable?
A critical ingredient is elevating consciousness. We don't need more solutions. We don't need, people that love. We don't need more kindness. We don't need anything of that. Because again, the more kindness, the more things we do in a distorted, say, society or distorted consciousness, it would perpetuate our distortions. What we need to do is like wake up and do it from a higher level of self. Most people do things to resolve the world's problems because they have problems
Yes.
themselves. Like, say, psychologists. No offense, they're beautiful people, but most people got into psychology because they were, say, trying to figure their own life out.
Exactly.
So they'll go, well, the more people I'll help, then it'll help me. So I guess the basic ingredient is wait, fix yourself first. Understand who you are, solve that identity of who you are, and then spread that solution, figure it out on your own, in your own petri dish, figure that out, and then start to see how it works. And then you've got a good solution, and then you send that out.
Well, that's beautiful. And you read my mind because I was going to ask you, based on the 7 pillars of the way of being,
Yes.
which are those attributes that through the foundation we are delivering in different manners in order to create this new
Right.
earth in a sustainable form.
Right.
The first one is healing within,
Yes.
and the seventh one is actually humanitarian projects.
Yes.
So those were the two things that you were putting together, first
Exactly.
going within and then expand.
Exactly.
Is there any specific way that you see happening this through what you do?
Yes, there is. One, to so now there's so much chaos going on, right? And people go, gosh, it's strange times. We don't know what's happening. But because humans think that they control this reality, and they don't. They're reactive to this reality. They're always trying to fix things. If you look at, again, political systems, governance, businesses, and so on like that, something happens to it, and then they react, right? Technologies are the same way. So we have to move away from that and start to become in a command role and create this reality. So one, we are not in control of this reality. We're just reactors to it. So the political leaders and whoever else that want to change the reality, they're not changing it, they're destroying it even more because it's their methods. So, and the real change comes from a universal frequency. The changes that we're experiencing now is changes of how dimensions of time and space work. Time and space is creating, say, more clarity, more precision, more efficiency. Humans have to follow that efficiency.
Yes.
So, and I say this because as time and space becomes more efficient, the truths, the distortions of society will come up. But most people will want to bury their truth because that's what we've done in the past.
Exactly.
But you can't anymore because there's no more place to bury all those lies. We actually have to resolve those, right? So one, what's happening today is not because some political system or religious system. What's happening is one, the universe is coming through and changing consciousness as we see it. So we have to acknowledge that and we have to ride the wave. Those people who ride the wave of consciousness coming through will, say, awaken and be the leaders of the future. And that those leaders of the future will not be based on how much money you have, who you know, all those things. It's who is coherent, who has coherence with their original frequency, or again, the natural intelligence that's out there.
Simplicity.
Yes.
Yeah, it's more simple than the one that what we have chosen to believe,
So
right?
true. So true. Absolutely.
So I just to conclude with this question,
Mhm.
because I love it,
Yeah,
like
absolutely. You
I
can ask me any
always look
question.
at, thank you. I
Yeah.
always look at it from micro to macro scale.
Mhm.
So if we see humanity as like the whole collective,
Mhm.
as a human,
Yeah.
to what stage of their lives would you relate it to? For instance,
Oh.
we are in the
Oh
teenagers,
yeah.
we're,
Right now, we haven't reached teenage years. It's almost like pre-teenage, I would say. This is where we say start to separate from our parents. We want to become independent, if that makes sense to you.
yes,
So we're always pulling away. This is where, scientists will go, nature did it this way, we can do it better. This is, again, we're peeling away, which is the wrong thing. You should acknowledge, say, what your parents did for you. It might have been wrong or whatever, but again, it took them this far. Does that make sense? So
yes,
instead of like going, okay, nature did it this way, we can do it better, rather than that, understand why nature did it that way and then do it better, rather than starting from scratch. So in that case, like pre-teenage, and this is a huge, the other thing I want to emphasize is that most people go, well, the society is really messed up. We really made a lot of mistakes. We need to correct our mistakes. But just like a teenager, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, especially as you go into adulthood, right? You make a hell of a lot of mistakes. But the successful individuals who make a lot of mistakes, the key is that you can make a hell of a lot of mistakes, but learn from those mistakes. So successful people make more mistakes than most people do. But what they do is that they don't make the same mistake over and over again. So that's one of the keys is, is like learn from your mistake and then move on and go, okay, it didn't work that way. This was the way it works. Non-successful individuals or non-successful species will keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And I say this because how many times have we had wars for the same reason? How many times have our religions, say, created the same scenario? How many times have our medicines or whatever that we've done? I mean, look at your own life. Your parents made the same mistakes as you did now. Why don't you learn from your parents, your grandparents, your great grandparents, and so on? It's like, look at that downline and look at how much you're replicating what they made mistakes on. So you basically recycle time, you're rehashing time, you're going back in time, you're not creating new moments of time. So, and that's what stifles societies. Look at teenagers today. They have a choice to break away and be a better version of their parents, but what do? Even if they break away because they didn't like what their parents did, in due time, by the time you
yes.
hit 30s and 40s, they get the same damn results as their parents did. So even if you did something different, you got the same end results. The bottom line hasn't changed for you. So again, if you're asking, look at the mistakes, go, yup, there's a better way of doing it, and how can I make it better?
That's
So,
beautiful. And it's the way of being, because that can
absolutely.
be very relative, like everyone can say, this is the way of being.
Yes.
But this is why we have these 12 keys that are very much related to that state of acknowledging
Yes.
who I am and who I think I am.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and who you think you are, your genetic patterns, your identities, your generational patterns, right? That's why all, say, baby boomers literally go through the same phase. It's not a mistake. It's actually an efficiency pattern, but humans have used it for destruction, your lifetime patterns and then like previous lifetimes and so on, and then societal patterns. Those four ingredients go into the mix of who or what your identity is. So when you say who you are, most people don't know who they are because they can't access the deeper layers, and that's what I help them with.
Exactly, and that's
Yeah.
beautiful, and thank you for doing that
Thank you.
because it's a tough part.
It is.
It's necessary.
It is necessary.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank
you
you
so
for,
much.
for doing it and doing it so well,
Thank you so much.
I must say. So thank you so much. Can I give you a
Absolutely.
hug?
Thank you, sweetie.
Oh, thank you. And thank you all.
Thank you.